appropriate. Anyways, it's 5 o'clock. Let's go ahead and get started. It's good to see everyone here. I'm loving seeing you. Today we're going to talk about how to start Carnivore. We have a whole new batch of people starting for the first. Give me a comment or a like or something like that if you are starting Carnivore on October 1st, or if you're recommitting yourself to start for 28 days on October 1st. So we do a 28 days, so it's not even a whole month, 4 weeks to give yourself a good starting time of Carnivore. Yes, we have people starting on October 1st, recommitting. Perfect. Why start Carnivore? I'd love to hear your why. A lot of people do it for a lot of different reasons, and a lot of times it's a combination of all of these reasons. Weight loss, mental health, chronic pain, and that's something that in the group, you can click down below for our Facebook group. And Jeff, come back to our Facebook group. I'm making people be nice. So just give me a second. If people report any comments that aren't nice, and our group will be nice because I will make it that way. But why start Carnivore? So people in my group have been reporting that it helps with their chronic pain. And that's something that's I wouldn't say I have chronic pain, but I know that I have morning stiffness in the morning if I don't eat Carnivore. And this is something that I'm loving hearing from people coming off pain meds. Pain meds are hard on your system, and it's frustrating to be reliant on medication to be out of pain or to dull your pain, and that food can do that is awesome. So chronic pain, digestive trouble that won't stop, blood sugar control. I'd love to hear what these are for you. Autoimmune issues, and those can present in so many different ways. That it's a minimalist way of eating. Sometimes you just need to forget about food for a little bit and work on a big project, work on a move, work on getting your life in order. And so Carnivore can definitely be a minimalist way of eating. Faster workout recovery. For building muscle as an experiment, or to just prove me wrong. Be like, that girl on YouTube doesn't know what she's talking about. I'm going to do Carnivore and I'm going to feel awful and I'm going to make a YouTube video about it. You do that. Maybe you'll be like me, trying to prove people wrong, and you'll find out that you love it. So let's see what your guys is. Weight loss, staying away from keto treats. That's good, because keto is man, if keto is just vegetables and meat, it's awesome. But there's so many treats, and suddenly you're living on junk food again. Reducing inflammation. This is a great way to reduce inflammation. Trish is recommitting. Brain issues. Yes, I hear you there. Zero cravings. That's awesome. Yeah, if you're my biggest tip for cravings is that if you're craving something, go brown up a pound of ground beef and keep eating that with some salt. Drink some water, and you probably won't have any cravings. It's hard to have cravings when you're full of nutritious food. Arthritic knee. Oh, your arthritic knee is 95% better. That's awesome. My dad, he has bad knees. He had bad knees the whole time I was growing up, and he's just been putting off the surgery. And I'd love it if he would do Carnivore and avoid the surgery and feel better. But sometimes I'm not in charge of what everybody in my vicinity eats. Barbara says her blood sugars went from the 160s to the 90s. That is awesome. Lowered your CRP, and that, I believe, is an inflammatory marker from 7.5 to 2.3. Very nice. Julie's continuing. Hi, Julie. Continuing from September. That's awesome. Brain clarity and food cravings. So now we're going to go into what you can eat on Carnivore, and I will scroll through your questions in case you have them. So on Carnivore, you can eat anything that comes from an animal. And so yes, someone before asked raw milk. Yes, you can eat raw milk on Carnivore. If you want to do keto also, you're going to have to also count your carbs. But most of us, if we just do anything that comes from an animal and avoid all plants, then we are going to just see a huge boost in our body, in our health, in our body. So you can use any cooking type. We use the air fryer, which you don't have to add vegetable oil. The air fryer will say spray stuff with vegetable oil. Don't do that. Just put your fatty steak in the air fryer. You can fry, and if you're frying, don't use coconut oil. Go ahead and use tallow or use bacon grease. I've got a little jar of bacon grease always in my fridge that I use to just pan fry stuff if I want stuff fried. You can grill, you can bake, you can use any cooking method that you want. Boil, steam, Instant Pot. Instant Pot is great now that it's cooling down and we're wanting more warm food. You can eat salt. And so salt does not come from plants, salt's a mineral. And salt is something that once you've been on carnivore a while, you can experiment with taking more or less. But as you're starting it, you need to take salt. And so we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Carbs and sugar in raw milk. Yeah, it does have carbs and sugar in it. And so if you're trying to get blood sugar under control, or you're fine tuning your carnivore diet, then raw milk might not be ideal for you. But like if you're someone that's not trying to lose weight, raw milk is a great way to gain weight. I drank a ton of raw milk when I was pregnant with my kids, and we're super healthy. It's just a great way that's healthy and good for our body, that also puts on weight and has calories. Debbie started carnivore a week ago from keto. Loving it. That's awesome, Debbie. Good job. So, and also on carnivore, a lot of people include coffee or tea. If you are dependent on caffeine, I would not recommend going straight onto carnivore and giving up caffeine at the same time. That's something you can do later. Like just go ahead and try one thing at a time. Seasonings and condiments are something that it's up to you. And so if you're eating, all of your meals are meat and eggs and dairy, and then you put some barbecue sauce on, or you use a little hot sauce, or you use like a steak rub, no one, like the carnivore police aren't going to come after you. That's how some people do carnivore. If you're doing it for especially an autoimmune issue, I would recommend doing it without seasonings and then adding them back in. Like personally, I found that salt is plenty for me. Like I get so much benefit even from avoiding garlic and like herbs that I just don't include them. And so I just cook the meat for my family with salt. And then if I want to season it, like add some garlic and ginger for theirs after I take mine out, I do that. Jeff says he loves raw milk. Yeah. Isn't it good? It's such a pain in the butt, and the USDA, or I don't know what it is, Montana does not like raw milk, and they make it so hard for the farmers. And like, I'm sorry, but having a dairy farm in Montana anyway is super hard. And then expecting them to like try to fly under the radar and do this all secretly, it's really frustrating. I wish we could get raw milk. I can't get it right now because the government harasses the farmers. So some things that you're going to want to avoid on carnivore, and you can raise your hand if you're just like, oh, I thought I could have that. Avocado is something that people are always thinking, oh, well, it's a healthy fat, I can have that. It's not on carnivore. It's not that it's healthy or unhealthy. It's just that it's not from meat. So you want to avoid vegetable oils, and instead you're going to use like your beef tallow, you're going to use your bacon grease to cook things in. So avoid olive oil, avoid coconut oil, avoid MCT oil, which is from coconut oil. And this is just a reset. So just give your body a 28-day break from that and see what happens, see how you feel. I'm not saying you can never have coconut oil in your life again. I'm just saying go ahead and try carnivore like for real, like try avoiding all those vegetable oils. You're going to avoid sugar and other sweeteners, even stevia, which comes from a plant, and even monk fruit, which is from a plant, and even erythritol, which is like made in a lab. No, you don't. Oh, I love avocados. I was raised in California. Massachusetts doesn't like raw milk either. I thought your guys' slogan is live free or die. How come you guys don't like raw milk? That's ridiculous. So how to start carnivore. So first of all, it's easier to start carnivore if you're already keto. So when you're keto, you are fat adapted, which means that your body is used to tapping into your fat stores when you need energy, and it isn't taking glucose out of your blood at all times. And so if you're coming from the standard American diet, or you're coming from paleo where you're eating fruit, or you're coming from something where you're eating more than like 50 grams of carbohydrates a day, it's a big shock to your system, and it'll take 6 weeks of adjusting to carnivore if you go from eating carbs to eating carnivore. And this is what I see over and over again, is it's just easier to go ahead and do a month of meat heavy keto where you like make meat your main part of the meal, or make eggs the main part of your meal, and then add in some of those like honestly inflammatory foods, like use some avocado oil, mayonnaise, and use condiments, and maybe eat some nuts also, because it's such a shock to your system to get rid of all your inflammation at once that it makes your electrolytes really hard to keep up with. So if you're coming from eating a bunch of carbs, switching to keto is definitely the way to go. If you need help switching to keto, I have a keto family class, which walks you through 5 weeks of switching onto the ketogenic diet. I think it might be linked below this video. If not, it's in all the emails that I send you down at the bottom. If you're already on keto, and this is where a lot of people are just like, oh my gosh, I feel so good on keto. Keto's amazing. But maybe they're eating too much keto junk food, like the fat bombs, or maybe they've had a weight loss stall, or maybe they just feel like, I kind of want to experiment more because keto was so good and I didn't think it would be. Let's see what carnivore does. If you're coming from keto, you should be able to switch right onto carnivore. You just want to make sure that you're taking salt. So even if you didn't need to take much salt on keto, make sure that like 3 times a day before you eat, or every time you drink water, just like put a quarter or half a teaspoon of sea salt in your hand. Just put it right in your mouth and then chug a whole glass of water. So like get a big, I think this is from Walmart, this glass. So get a big glass of water because you're going to have to deal with losing all that inflammation, which is really good for your body. But in that inflammation, in that water weight that you're carrying, even on keto, even though you don't have glycogen in your muscles anymore, you do have inflammation and you do have salt dissolved in that. So your body just has to adjust to losing all of that. So if you're coming from keto and you want to break a weight loss stall, then you can probably see a couple of those pounds dump just in inflammation, which is like, that's a reduced load on your body. That's super good for you. But with that water, again, just like when we lost the initial water weight on keto, we lost that electrolytes, you're going to have to put that salt back in. And from most people that I've seen, it's 30 days on carnivore and then your body adjusts. So the whole time I did keto, like if I'd swim or exercise, I always had to take extra salt. Since did my first 30 days of carnivore, I haven't had to take extra salt again, unless it's like super hot out and I was expecting to lose it anyway. Debbie says she bought my books. Make the Scotch eggs. They're awesome. That's a great project to do while you're watching this. So if you're coming from the standard American diet, going to keto is the way to go just for a month. So if you want to do meat heavy keto for our 28-day challenge, and then the following month switch to carnivore for 28 days, then that is a great way to do things. If you're coming from keto, just switch on over to carnivore. You can do it today. You don't have to eat any more of the keto junk food. You don't have to eat any more nuts tonight. Just make sure you have your breakfast sausage thawed for the morning, or bacon thawed for the morning, or some eggs out that you can make for carnivore in the morning, and you can start in the morning. And all you have to do is make sure you get salt, and that should be fine. Like you can just run by the store and grab salt if you want. So buying, I'm following. This is in the paperback book that Debbie says that she bought. And so if you want to follow along, this is an older version of it. There's a yellow stripe across the front now. But I have all of this, like how to start carnivore, in the back to get you started. So we're going to try and make this as easy as possible. And so even though carnivore is super nutrient dense and it's super good for your body, it's still an adjustment. It's just like if you got dressed in the morning and you decided to do everything the opposite order that you normally did it, it's just like you're not operating out of that habit mindset. You're not operating out of your long-term memory that you don't have to put much effort into anymore. And so if you can make this 28 days as easy as possible, I highly recommend that. So Butcher Box is fantastic. I've got a box of their meat coming right now, even though I'm used to cooking meat all the time. So just having it delivered right to your door, and then making sure, like, set up a reminder on your phone, like use the reminders app to make sure there is meat thawed every day. And so we're going to want to make sure there's 2 to 4 pounds of meat thawed at any time. Because if you get hungry, it's so much easier to grab a package of crackers, grab a thing of chips, then throw a steak on the grill, especially if that steak is frozen already. So just make this as easy as possible for yourself. And also you're going to choose three things that you're going to let go in your life this month, because you're going to focus on yourself and your diet and making this transition as easy as possible for yourself, because you want to set yourself up for success. I'm just going to go grab a couple questions that I see coming through here. Been keto 1 meal a day for over a year. Can you do carnivore this way? You definitely can. I have not. I have a harder time fasting with carnivore just because I have a hard time sitting down and eating like 1.5 pounds of meat at one time, where it was easier to get in, like eat 1 meal a day when I was eating keto, and I had like nuts and peanut butter and fat bombs to kind of add to the calories. Let's see, some good ways to tenderize meat. Shove it in the Instant Pot. Do you have an Instant Pot? So like like ribs that are super good tender. If you look in here, I have rib directions. So like low and slow, cover them with water. Is carnivore good for seizures? Yeah, definitely. I would do a ketogenic version of carnivore for seizures. So some of our favorite meals, like if you need some help getting started, because I am feeding a family and I just take the meat out and eat the meat by itself. And then this is what I give my family. Low Carb Foodie says, hubby grills extra burgers and steak. Yeah, having cold burgers, for some reason, cold burgers with like a slice of cheese on the top is delicious. Chuck roast in the Instant Pot is so good. Yeah, it is. I made that, I think, last week. I'm cooking for 7 people over here right now. It's my family of 5, and then my mother-in-law and sister-in-law live next door, and I do most of the cooking for them because they have health issues. And so, yeah, Instant Pot chuck roast is a huge favorite here. Some of our favorite meals are breakfast sausage, and then for the kids, I add berries. Breakfast sausage cheeseburgers, which is just breakfast sausage, and then I melt cheese on the top. Cottage cheese is a great carnivore breakfast, and I just grab the low fat from Costco just because it's so cheap and it's easy, and I'm going to Costco anyway. I do add berries to that for the kids. Scrambled eggs and cheese is a classic. One of my favorite things to do is to chop up bacon into little squares and then pan fry the bacon, remove the bacon, and then cook my eggs in the bacon grease and then sprinkle like the bacon sprinkles on the top of the eggs. Super good. More breakfast sausage. Breakfast sausage is just your friend. It's hard to get enough calories with bacon. Like that's a lot of bacon that you need to eat to get calories. And then leftover burgers is a completely legitimate breakfast, I think. Like grabbing one of those when I'm out the door cold there's nothing wrong with it. Like we're all fixated on breakfast food, but grabbing leftover meat is definitely, or slices of steak or roast is a great breakfast. Wrapping string cheese in lunch meat is great for lunch. That's easy to eat on the road. Cold steak cubes dipped in like cheese sauce. We have our cheese sauce that we made the other day. Pulled pork with low carb barbecue sauce. If you're doing condiments, the low carb barbecue sauce is a great way to add moisture to meats, and it's really good after you reheat it. Leftover chuck roast and over easy eggs. That sounds super good. Like different ways to cook eggs, like poached, over easy, scrambled, fried. There's so many different ways to cook eggs. And leaving the yolks runny, it just it makes its own sauce. You don't need anything else. Pork rinds are your new chips. And so making liver pate, and we'll talk about liver in another video, but making liver pate with lots of tallow or butter if you do butter, and then dipping pork rinds in it is a great way to get your micronutrients. And it's just like eating this carnivore bean dip, but it's liver pate. It's super good for you. Have I done raw meat carnivore? I do. It's snowing out today. In the winter, I want more warm food that's cooked. And in the summer, I did eat raw quite a few times. I use ButcherBox for that. I'm not going to take a chance using grocery store meat for raw. So yeah, I only eat ButcherBox, or we have Yellowstone grass-fed beef locally. Raw, I don't. I'm not going to like just eat any kind of meat raw. So I'm more picky about what I eat raw, but yes, I definitely eat raw. And starting it for beginners. Well, if you eat sushi, you're already eating raw meat. I would just make sure that you source good quality meat. And then I chop it up into bite-sized pieces, and then I just eat it with a fork. Like I'm not going to bite off a huge raw steak. Liverwurst and pork rinds. Very nice. You wish you could find chicken liver. Jill, look at US Wellness Meats. I used to buy chicken liver from US Wellness all the time. So tri-tip sliced with cheese sauce, bacon wrapped scallops, and those are good warm or cold. I always eat them warm because there's never any leftovers. Bacon wrapped chicken, like you can even get the chicken tenders or chicken thighs, wrap it in bacon and then air fry it or bake it. Bacon wrapped everything is really good. I would like to see you guys eat more like steaks and ground beef and roasts eventually, but if you need to transition onto this using a bunch of bacon and like pepperoni and salami and string cheese, and that kind of thing, and pork rinds, then I would rather have you try that and give yourself a chance to adjust. And then you'll just eventually find that throwing a roast in the Instant Pot and then eating off of that for a while is simpler. But if you need more variety to start because you're used to eating all sorts of different food, then I think that starting like any way you can start is a great way to start, and it's better than not. Is glycine that sweet supplement? I don't add glycine. I add collagen. So I use collagen as a supplement because it's super easy to absorb. And I stir it into my coffee right now if I'm drinking coffee or tea. Or sometimes I even stir it into chicken broth. But no, I don't add glycine. I'm not sure why people do. I don't know. Maybe it's a bodybuilding thing. I'm not sure. Glycine in sparkling water. Oh, yeah, I totally drink sparkling water if you guys are wondering about that. Perfect Supplements is the brand of collagen that I use. I've used the Great Lakes, I think. Michaela Peterson only eats beef strictly. Yeah, I think I've heard that. I love Michaela Peterson. So let's see. So yeah, even if you're not planning on starting until October 1st, I highly recommend that you start tonight, and then you can avoid those false starts that can be so discouraging. So then if you forget to thaw meat for the next day, like, because the first is Tuesday. And so then you've got all of tomorrow to get ready for Tuesday. And so just kind of like think in your head, I'm going to start tonight, and then you won't have a false start on Tuesday. Let's see. What other questions do I have? Okay, so you guys did ask me a few different questions. Is how long does it take to lose 20 pounds on carnivore? And this is something that if you're doing this for weight loss, I would at least, most of you guys are going to want to spot check calories. And this is where I sort of differ from other people. They're just like, eat meat and eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full. Well, a lot of us have had disordered eating for whatever reason in our past. And so if we're hungry or we're not, or like our hunger signals just aren't there correctly because we're busy or whatever, that's why in the meal plan, I do have calories in here. You can look at the bottom of every day or every meal, and there's calories, and there's also a bottom of every day. So or if you're doing this for weight loss, go ahead and just calculate the calories that if you were at your ideal weight, you would eat that day, and aim to eat that much meat, and it will just come. And so it depends. If you're like 200 pounds overweight and you want to lose 20 pounds, that'll probably happen in a couple of weeks on carnivore, just because it's really hard to eat that much meat. If you only have 20 pounds to lose, then it could take you a couple months. But you kind of think if you want to lose 20 pounds, and it takes you a few months, you're going to be at your goal weight on January 1st when everyone else is starting. So starting right now is perfect. Let's see. Oh, don't worry about the caps. It's just chat. I don't really worry about all caps. Let's see. So now we're going to do some tips for success. So the first one is salt, and this is something that we've already covered. So if you're feeling low energy, if you're feeling lightheaded, if you're feeling nauseous, headachy, or otherwise just like off, go ahead and take half a teaspoon of salt and then follow it with a big glass of water. And so if you're getting like the little salt capsules, which I have given those to some people that start keto and they like won't take the salt and they don't feel good. And so I give them the salt capsules. You have to take like 5 of those capsules, and then you're going to have to dissolve the capsule. So you're not going to feel good right away. But still take that huge glass of water. Like if you just drink enough water to swallow those capsules and you don't drink water enough to dissolve the salt into it, you're not going to feel as good. And so it's just salt and water, and that will solve most of your problems. Sherry's asking about Walden Farm syrup, 0 carbs. It's probably a synthetic sweetener. It's definitely a synthetic sweetener. And no, just not on carnivore. Like if you want to do a meat heavy keto and still use that syrup, then that's fine. But I would really, the only time you need to be strict carnivore is before you say it doesn't work. So don't like use syrup and say, oh, I tried the carnivore diet and it didn't work, but I was using all these artificial sweeteners, because that's just like, it's an inflammatory thing. It's a chemical. Your body has to process it out. And here with carnivore, we're really trying to give our body a break. And so we want to avoid those artificial sweeteners. And you'll kick your sweet tooth. It comes from your microbiome. So as soon as you stop giving your microbiome any sugar at all, it'll adjust. And you, as long as you're eating enough calories, because sometimes your body can crave sugar if you need calories and nutrients, because it just knows that that's a quick way to get it. And you're starving out your microbiome, within 3 or 5 days, you're going to be not craving sugar anymore. Is soul water the same? Yeah, soul water is great. So soul water is when you like fill a jar with salt and then you add water just until it dissolves. And then you can take like a spoonful of that. Vitamin supplements in vegetable capsules, is that an issue? You'll probably find that you don't need supplements. So you guys know that I'm doing a lot of health stuff for my daughter. She has special needs, and she's why I started all of this health stuff. She was on like 6 different supplements that she really needed, and I haven't even put her on carnivore, and she doesn't need, the only one we take is the TRS for heavy metals right now. But she used to be on like CBD oil. She used to be on L-carnosine. She used to be on all sorts of supplements, and she just doesn't need them on meat heavy keto. And I was taking a lot of supplements for like mood stabilization, and I don't need them on carnivore either. So I would recommend, at least for a week, trying no supplements. You can take methylfolate or like B vitamins if you are like of childbearing age and you expect to be pregnant, or you are pregnant. I would probably always take methylfolate then, just because I don't know how our system's doing with it, and it's so important. But if you're just taking a multivitamin to take multivitamin, or supplements that maybe you're doing a little bit, try going without them on carnivore. But if you do need them and it's in a capsule, I wouldn't worry about it. Let's see. Oh, stevia is high in oxalates. That's good to know. I didn't know that. Jill, she says, I get dizzy, like my balance is really off after I eat dinner, especially if I eat a steak. I do add a lot of salt. It could be too much potassium from the meat or not enough. Um, I would I would guess, I generally don't recommend drinking water with meals because it dilutes your stomach acid, but I would recommend just try drinking a big glass of water to absorb in that salt, so that your body's not pulling the water from your blood into your digestive system, but you have enough water for the salt. Julie says that she knows stevia was high in oxalates. Well, with stevia, I wouldn't worry about that as much if that's like your only vice on carnivore, because you use such a tiny, tiny amount. Is stevia is so much more sweet than sugar. Johnny says iron deficiency. I might think that too, except for she says it's only after meals. Mandy says all her hair fell out on keto. That's a great thing to talk about real quick. If you're losing weight, your thyroid will kind of freak out a little bit, especially on keto and carnivore. We lose weight really quickly. And losing hair while you're losing weight, if you're losing weight quickly, is something that happens. And it's not something to be alarmed. It's just like that much hair was going to fall out when you lost the weight anyway. It's just concentrated because we're losing it really quickly. Jeff, the only supplements he uses after 2.5 months on carnivore is beef liver and trace minerals. Yeah, you can go to Ancestral Supplements, and they have a bunch of different capsules full of the different organ meats, and that's a great supplement. John drinks Irish whiskey. Is that one sweet? If you're going to drink on carnivore, just don't drink the sweet ones. And also, you're going to have no tolerance at all, even worse than keto. So expect to never drive after you've been drinking, and expect to not feel good the next day. Johnny says honey is an excellent sugar replacement. You can do that. If you're not doing the ketogenic version of carnivore, you can add honey. I actually haven't tried that yet. I do want to try that, like do strict carnivore and then add in honey and see how I feel. But I think Paul Salandino started carnivore and just got amazing results, even without the benefits of being in ketosis. Mandy says, is that like alopecia? I have heard of alopecia being healed on carnivore. Look in the meat heals. It's like meatheals.org or meatheals.com and look up alopecia and see if you can find people um, that have healed alopecia on carnivore. You guys are, I'll get back to tips on starting carnivore in a second. I'm just going to answer some of these questions because you guys are awesome. Is Siggy's only sweetened with honey? I know it's too high in carbs for my daughter. Organ meat burgers, well, you make that. That's awesome. If you can add in some chicken liver into your ground beef, that's a great way to get micronutrients. Victoria says, my mom, oh, he's not gonna come here. I'm trying to show you my carnivore cat. Hasn't lost any weight on carnivore, but the body composition is changing. Me too. The last time I don't have a scale here because we're in like temporary housing. So I weighed myself, I don't know, like a couple weeks ago. My weight has actually gone up a couple of pounds, but my pants are all loose and my belt is like, I need to buy a new belt because my belt's too long, or poke some more holes in it. So yeah, the body composition is awesome. Low protein kept as a bigger issue with hair. Higher protein carnivore mitigates hair loss. I haven't heard that before. The plain Siggy's has no sugar. I wonder where I'd find that. I don't think I've seen that. To be honest, I think the only place I've seen Siggy's is at Walmart, and I don't tend to go to Walmart that often. Do I use my air fryer a lot? I didn't. Like I said, I just said we're in temporary house, and I didn't even bring it's in the storage unit, so I didn't even bring it with me. It's something that's like fun to experiment with if you're looking for more creativity in the kitchen. But it's just like it bakes quickly. I don't think it's necessary. I think an Instant Pot, I would definitely recommend an Instant Pot over an air fryer if you had to choose one. Mandy, that sounds, I wish I had more to tell you. For hair loss, I really don't know. Beef liver and beef heart is mild. If you guys are looking for an organ meat to try, putting beef heart in the Instant Pot or slow cooker, covering with water, and then cooking that is really good. And it's really good for your heart. It has anti-aging properties in it. Yeah, I love using pressure cooker for bone broth as well. Okay, so we're gonna go into tips, ways that you can set up yourself up for success this next month on carnivore. So the first thing is to plan 3 things to fail at during your first 4 weeks of carnivore. Is we're planning on failing, it's just not going to be at carnivore. We're going to fail at non-diet things in order to complete our dietary goal. Like there's only so much that we can do in a month. And so we need to just like know ahead of time what we're going to bail on. So some things you may plan on failing is folding and putting away laundry, exercising, cooking elaborate meals for other members of your family, volunteering, home renovations, but home renovations can be a good distraction, extra projects at work, or taking on extra duties within your family. So I hope that you guys all can think of something that you're just going to let slide so that you can make yourself and what you feed your body so that you can just enjoy the benefits of being well nourished a priority this month. You're also going to plan for self-care and support for your whole self. Self-care is a hot topic lately, but it's incredibly important. Many people with chronic health issues, including and maybe especially related to weight, are in punishment and blaming mode. Planning non-food ways to care for yourself is essential for breaking out of this negative mindset. So beating yourself up because you ate off plan or beating yourself up because you ate off plan last month, which you can't do anything about anyway, is not going to help you. Some of us think, and I was stuck in this this mindset for a while too, is that unless I am like constantly telling myself I'm doing a bad job or I was doing a bad job, then I'm never going to change. That's not true. When you like talk to yourself in an encouraging way and just change that self-talk, it becomes so much easier. You're not like worn down by your own self-talk by the end of the day. And so changing your self-talk and being encouraging and kind to yourself, just like you would to a friend or a child, is incredibly important for having a successful month. Self-care is about healthy choices and eliminating guilt and shame as we enjoy them. Indulging in something while feeling like we are bad is not self-care, nor is indulging in something that you know is harming your body and mental health, like sugar and probably most alcohol. Think of ways that you can take care of yourself this week in the same way you would take care of a small child or a friend that you care about. Are you tired? Then go to sleep and work on your responsibilities in the morning. Do you need to rest? Then binge watch a season of Netflix. Who watches Letterkenny? Letterkenny's coming out this month. I love Letterkenny. If you haven't watched Letterkenny and you're not easily offended, I would recommend going and trying that. It's on Hulu. If you have a recurring relationship, work, or emotional issue that keeps popping up, schedule a session of a series of therapy appointments. Often you can clear an issue in 3 or 4 sessions. It's not something that everybody has to do long term. We are page 5. If you're feeling bored or stuck in your work, start an Audible membership for audiobooks or find some podcasts that you love and indulge in these. The Paul Salandino podcast is great. If you pay for YouTube, YouTube Red, I think, then you can listen to stuff like this webinar on your phone, and you can still close your phone or still do other stuff on your phone and just listen to webinars on Carnivore as a podcast instead. So my self-care of choice is that I allow myself to buy unlimited audiobooks without guilt, and I listen to them as I run or clean, and it just helps the tedious parts of life go quicker. And I also make sure that I'm walking at least a mile a day. And I post a lot of those on Instagram if you guys follow me on Instagram. It's just my daily walks because I need fresh air, and that is my biggest self-care thing. As far as budget goes, don't insist on all organic or grass-fed beef. If your budget is tight, it can seem impossible to spend $270 on a box of organic grass-fed meat from Butcher Box or your local ranch right now. After the first couple weeks on Carnivore, most people realize that their food spending has gone way down. So if you need to start with less expensive cuts of grocery store meat until your bank account reflects the savings, it's a great compromise and it moves you towards your goal. The most important time to succeed is immediately after you failed. So if you accidentally eat a bunch of oatmeal cookies, like I told you guys I did in my 3-week video, hop right back on the carnivore train, and eat your steak and eggs for dinner and for breakfast. And just because you ate 4 cookies doesn't mean that you have to do that again tomorrow. It doesn't mean that you undid anything. So if you eat 4 cookies now, and then you don't eat them tomorrow, that is still a win. You're still getting closer to your carnivore goal. Acknowledge that you don't feel good eating like that, and then just move on. Keeping meat on hand and thawed is probably the biggest way that you can set yourself up for success on Carnivore. Moving 2 to 3 days worth of meat from your freezer into a dedicated bowl in your fridge, or now we just turned our vegetable drawer into a meat thawing drawer, is a great way to make sure that you always have stuff ready to cook. You can run to the grocery store, and a lot of you guys might be in the habit of running to the grocery store and grab a thawed steak, and that's definitely a valid option, but you're going to stay on track better if you have it at home. The easier this is for you, the easier you can make this for yourself for the next 28 days, the better your chances are of success. And then one thing at a time. If you're one of those people that constantly fails at meeting their goals, maybe your goals are too big. Get the carnivore diet down and on autopilot, and then consider quitting coffee. Then consider joining the gym. Then take up a new sport. We're going to take baby steps. Even if you're just 1% closer to carnivore than you were yesterday, in a little over 3 months, you're going to be 100% on carnivore. And so you just want to make little tiny changes, and then the time's going to pass anyway. And so it's going to go, and you're going to be happy with all those little changes and watching them add up. So I want to know what you're going to do this next week, and what you're going to do right now tonight, and how you're changing your self-talk. And I'm going to check in with you again here next week. And so tell me in the comments what you're going to start doing to work on your goal today. Are you going to go download my free meal plan? If you're on my emails, it's right down in the bottom of the email on the Carnivore emails. Are you going to go to Amazon and buy the paperback so that you have, this is 30 days of carnivore meals. And so that way you'll have tons of variety. And I can't remember who said it now, but someone was saying that it doesn't assume that you already know how to cook meat. So if you're just a little bit overwhelmed, this will walk you through step by step. If you follow this and there's grocery lists in the beginning, there's weekly overviews. If you follow this, then you have no excuses. Like there's your grocery list, and that's super easy, right? Like you can go to the store and do that in 10 minutes. So are you going to go add a bunch of meat to your grocery app? So like I've got the Smith's grocery app where they will just bring it all to my car and put it in my car for me, and it charges right on the app itself. Are you going to sign up for Butcher Box and just have it delivered right to your door next week? Are you going to go look at the salt that you have and make sure that you have salt in your cupboards so that you're all ready for that? Are you going to go maybe put some salt in your car if you are in your car and doing errands a lot? Are you going to go toss out all the trigger foods in your kitchen? So yes, we can use self-control. Yes, when we're well-nourished, we should be able to resist the junk food. But if you have something like ice cream's it for me. Like if there's ice cream in the freezer and I'm feeling weak, then I'm going to eat something that is not ideal for me. So just go throw those out. Like don't give them to your neighbors. Don't give them to your kids. Like they're not good for them either. Just go throw it out. And it's not really going to help anyone. It's not helping your financial situation if you're eating food that makes you sick. It's really not benefiting anyone else to have to deal with the food that's going to make them sick as well. You're giving away your veggies. I love it. So I definitely want to know what you are going to do. If you're eating carbs and you switch to keto right now, you can check in with me next Sunday, and I'm going to be here next Sunday, and tell me that you lost a whole pant size. You lost 7 pounds. Like that's not even an exaggeration going from eating carbs to keto. Your skin will probably be more clear. You'll probably feel a decade younger. If you've been on carnivore but been drinking coffee, go watch my quitting coffee video and see how I use DLPA, which is an amino acid, to quit and stop needing so much sleep. Like needing an hour less sleep a night, that's something that a lot of us can really benefit from. And I got that just from quitting coffee. And when you use a supplement to quit it, it's not even hard to quit either. I can't wait to see what benefits you guys have found just by making this one step, these few changes this next week. If you're doing dirty carnivore right now or mostly meat keto and relying on dairy too much, you can tighten that up and just eat more meat and less of the stuff that's not meat and see huge improvement in like the bags under your eyes and how your joints feel in the morning and how your skin is by next Sunday. Like that's what's so awesome about this. You don't have to like just kind of wait and hope and pray for the next 6 weeks or 3 months or 2 decades that this is the best way to eat. When you switch to keto or you switch to carnivore and you're eating mostly meat, you're going to see these benefits in like 3 to 5 days. Like when you check in next Sunday, you're going to be telling me, hey, I needed way less of this medication. Hey, my blood sugars are completely under control. It is so exciting. If you go and look on other videos on YouTube of people that have been on carnivore for like 1 week or 1 month and their results, like it's over and over. We're all just like, wow, I cannot believe that all this took was a couple days and suddenly I'm seeing these huge benefits. So you're going to be giving your body the gift of avoiding foods that makes it unhappy. I want you to see this difference in yourself as well. So then I have a couple questions and I'm going to scroll back through your guys' questions so you can ask away right now. So one of the ones that I got in the Facebook group, and if you aren't in my Facebook group, there's a link down below. And like I was telling you guys earlier, it's not I don't allow political stuff and I don't allow people to be snarky. Like people, it's like a wounded souls thing. I just don't allow it in my group. And so if someone is being rude, report them and I will let them know they may not be rude because a lot of the people that follow me, because you guys know I have a kid with special needs and I have mental health issues myself. And a lot of people that are kind of drawn to my style of doing things also have like severe health issues or severe mental health issues or like severely needy children. And we do not need that much negativity, and there's no reason for it. So I don't allow it because I want my group to be nice. So we do that. So one of the questions in my group was, if we start carnivore and then stop for a day or a meal and start back up, does it undo all of your progress? No, it doesn't. So you're not going to feel good. And some people need to like have a cheat meal every 10, 20 days just to remind themselves they feel like garbage when they don't eat mostly carnivore. But it's not going to undo all your stuff. So all of this nutrition that you're pulling in and like all this break from the chronic inflammation you're giving your body, it just allows your body its ability to heal. And so the more you can do carnivore, the more you can stick with it, the more you're going to heal. But don't be afraid that like, oh, well, if you want to eat junk food for Halloween that's coming off in 30 days, you shouldn't even start it. That's not how it works. If you want to go eat junk food for Halloween, go ahead. You're going to feel awful. But it definitely did not undo all the work that you just did. So, and someone else asked, can we use coconut oil instead of butter? No, and it's not that coconut oil is bad. It's just that it's not carnivore and it has different stuff in it. We're just giving ourselves a break from plants. And so that's something that if you want to try adding coconut oil in later, I know a lot of you guys do carnivore plus MCT oil, and that's fine. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But I would recommend switching over to butter instead of coconut oil, or switching over to like bacon grease instead of coconut oil. Is dairy carnivore? Yeah, you can eat anything that is not from plants. And so dairy, some people are allergic to dairy, and it's something that I recommend everyone try quitting for like a week and see how they feel. But man, when you're starting, if you do anything that you need to do to get onto carnivore, so make that cheese sauce, make the pepperoni dairy bites, make the chaffles that are the cheese and egg waffles. They're super good. You can use them as a bun. You can use them as a sandwich bread. Look in my videos. It's like maybe 4 or 5 videos back is the chaffles, and they're super easy. How important are organ meats to your success? I feel 80% great without organ meats, and then I eat liver and I feel just like super amazing. But if you don't want to eat liver, don't let that keep you from trying carnivore. There's tons of people that do carnivore great and they don't feel any different eating organ meats or not. I'm someone that needs to eat liver a few times a month, but not everybody does. So don't feel like in order to do, I know there's some people that promote that in order to do carnivore, you need to eat liver. You don't, you'll be fine without it. And if you don't feel great and you want to try liver, then go ahead and try liver. All right, so now I'm going to look up at your guys' comments. Let me see. Oh, I'm way lost, sorry. Oh, someone says they eat hamburger meat with beef heart from US Wellness. Do they have a hamburger that's like that? That's awesome. I know a butcher locally will do that for me. He'll grind up heart. He thinks I'm great. The people that work for him think I'm nuts, but the butcher himself is just like, yeah, that's great. But US Wellness will grind up heart and put it in. That's great. Priorities, exactly. And so this is like, it's not that you have to prioritize and like be hyper vigilant about what you eat always. It's just resetting a habit. And in order to reset any habit, you've got to make it that priority right then. And it gets easy. Like it's super easy for me to just eat meat. I don't care. I'll happily eat a burger with no bun because it's my habit now. Carnivore Cast has great podcasts. Carnivore Cast. Yes, he does. Self-care. Good job. Massage. Yeah, that's a great, like, bribe yourself. I've been bribing myself with skincare. Whatever you need to do that's not going to be detrimental to your health that you can use to get yourself to start seeing success. It's like the yes pattern. So like, when you start seeing success, you get that positive feedback loop. And so anything you need to do to get that success. Thanks for joining me, Hillary. I'm excited to see all the progress you guys make. Is it okay to consume a little bit of rice on carnivore just to maintain your weight if you're too slim? I would use milk instead. I wouldn't use rice. Rice is like it's feeding the bad bacteria. It's empty calories. It's just it's not going to be good for you. And like, or if you can't do milk, try honey if you need extra calories. Like stirring honey into cream and like making a milkshake with egg yolks, cream, and honey. Like that's carnivore, and it's probably going to be a lot better for you than rice. Beef or pork liver? Pork liver is more mild, I believe. Beef is supposedly like the most nutrient dense. I almost always use I'll hide beef in tacos, beef liver in tacos, but I almost always use chicken or pork liver. Usually chicken or calf. Calf liver is mild too. Julie says she allowed herself a month of September on carnivore to rebuild and repair her body before starting exercise. That's smart. It's like if you're exhausted on carnivore, be happy because it means that your body is just like, I need to rest so I can repair. So it means your body's in repair mode. And it's like, it's frustrating in our go, go, go. We want to do everything faster and like be super productive culture. But if your body's telling you to rest, that's actually a really good thing because it means it's doing its job. And exercise on carnivore, you're going to, like when you're ready to exercise, nothing's going to be able to stop you. You're going to be picking stuff up that's heavy and like asking your friends to take you to the gym and show you how to work out and running. And like this is from people that aren't even runners. Another thing that's interesting about carnivore is I'm a swimmer, and so after I'd push myself hard, I'd have to take CBD oil or I would be sore for a few days. On carnivore, I'm not like that. Like I get immediately into the swimmer's high or the runner's high, which is where you just like feel like you could go forever. And I don't get sore. Like I will if I'm moving or something, but not from just like normal exercise and pushing myself exercise wise. And that's what it's exciting. So let your body repair. And then once you want to start exercising, it'll come and it'll be a good time for you. Tropical Homestead is using the grill more. I use the grill all the time. It's out on the porch right now. Walking every day, that's great. Like it's just a great way to get out of the house. It's great to get fresh air. It's great. I always listen to podcasts. BG still bought the 30-day meal plan. Thank you for buying that. I appreciate it. There's little notes for you guys like on all the days in here as well, because I just want to encourage you because I know if you can stick with it, it's really not that hard to stick with. And if you can stick with it, you're going to see so many benefits. You're not cooking veggies for your husband. I love it. Yeah. I buy the kids baby carrots and send them in their lunch so that people don't fuss at me. I don't do hardly any veggies now. Regular iodized salt isn't good. Redmond salt, yeah, I use Redmond salt. If you're looking for salt, like the Redmond salt can be expensive, especially compared to just regular table salt. Look in the bulk bins of almost any health food store, and Redmond salt is like 1/10 the price there. Going back to Butcher Box, yeah, Butcher Box is just amazing. Like, I love them. Their stuff is good. Do I drink raw milk? I would if I had it. Montana wasn't a stinker about it. Suzanne, just a good job. Yeah. If you haven't pulled out your meat for tomorrow, go ahead and pull out your meat for tomorrow. And you guys all know like the hack that if you need to thaw meat and you only have a couple hours instead of overnight, fill up a bowl of water, like lukewarm water, so it doesn't cook it. And then like a big bowl, like a stock pot, and put your meat in it. And if it's not like if it's in butcher paper, put it in a plastic Ziploc first. And then the water, it just like the molecules transfer faster. And so the water will help it thaw way faster. You drink way too much coffee. If you're on carnivore, don't worry about your coffee. Worry about your coffee later after you've gotten the meat thing down. Lots of people want to cut back on coffee. Yeah, Tropical Homestead, this is last week on dairy to see how it's affecting weight loss. Dairy is easy to overeat, which is helpful if you need to maintain weight on carnivore. But if you're trying to lose weight, it's and it is inflammatory for a lot of people. Jean says they purchased the manager special. I've figured out our grocery store here marks down meat on Tuesdays. I always go. I got a bunch of meat half off last week. Coffee is not carnivore. It's not. It's one of those like exception coffees from a plant, and it is, I believe, high in oxalates. But it's one of those things that it's not going to undo all your work. So if you need to use like a little garlic on your steak and a little bit of coffee in the morning, don't worry about it. If veggie bloat went away 48 hours after starting carnivore. Yeah, I tried eating cabbage, like just cooked cabbage that I was making for my family all the time after I'd been carnivore a couple months. It's like, oh my gosh, like you can feel the whole thing go down. Not comfortable at all. Marky the vegan. You were here last week, weren't you? Or the last time we did this, you were talking about fasting. Thank you for not judging us. Oh, here's Eamon, and I even know how to spell your name. Another vegan. Look at all the vegans we have here. I am going to do a series of vegan videos. The best oil to use when making homemade mayonnaise is bacon grease. Jane, if you are 3 weeks in and feeling so tired, be happy because your body is wanting you to rest so it can repair. I have not tried sprinkling unsweetened gelatin on my steak. I do use collagen. Gelatin is the kind that'll make like jello. Collagen is the kind that will dissolve in liquid easily. If you guys are wanting to know the difference. Jeff says he saw a big difference since switching to Redmond salt. I'll be honest, I'm using like sea salt from Costco right now because that's what we have here. Coconut milk. Okay, Eamon, I know that you are a vegan and I'm glad you're here, but we're not using coconut milk. It's still not carnivore. Raw milk cottage cheese. Oh yeah, I'd love that. Are raw milk products less inflammatory? They are, just because they're less processed and the enzymes are still intact. If you have an allergy or like leaky gut and you're sensitive to dairy, I was still sensitive. I healed my gut and now I'm not as sensitive. But I'll like if I go from drinking raw milk to not having any milk, I'll lose a couple pounds, and that's just inflammation. That's just my body saying like, "Ooh, we don't really like this." It's not fat. And so I know that I'm still a little bit sensitive to raw milk. It's not something that I feel like I need to be perfect. And so I eat just regular milk too, because I don't, it's like a, I can't think of the name right now, but it's like, it doesn't bother me so much that I'm going to stop because dairy is easy. Black coffee. Yeah, black coffee does lower blood glucose, which can be a problem if you get hypoglycemic. Has anyone done the freezing of liver pills? My friend Teresa did that. She's finally eating regular liver. That's fine. If you want to freeze liver pills and then swallow those, that's fine. I would prefer you just acclimate to liking liver. Try the liver pate. It's on the liver pate is on my down on I'm like spacing. I have a carnivore recipes playlist, and so that's in there. Christina's asking what gelatin does if you put it in steak. I'm curious about that too. You've got a picture of Weston Price and you don't like cow liver? Cow liver is strong. Calf liver is good. Chicken liver it's sweet. If you can get the right chicken liver, it'll be sweet. Yeah, bacon grease mayonnaise, it's like a learning curve. And sweetened almond milk. Nope, almonds are from plants. Not on carnivore. You can on meat heavy keto if you're switching to meat heavy keto and you want to keep some almond milk in, that's fine. Yeah, Hillary, you're having the same problem as me with that milk. It's annoying. All right, looks like we are wrapping up. If there's any cod liver on pork rinds. Oh, that's right. I was gonna tell you, it's my cod liver. Um, if you need food on the run, these are great. Like keeping a can of sardines. These have olive oil, so not ideal. But this cod liver is just cod liver in its own oil, and it's sweet and it's good. Catherine asked, I'm just finishing 30 days on carnivore. Do you think it's long enough to experience the full benefits, or would 2 to 3 months be better? Longer is better. If you want to have a cheat meal and see how you feel, or you want to try going back to keto and see what you think, I think you'll be surprised that when you introduce plants again, how will you feel afterwards. Gelatin sprinkled on warm steak makes it moist. Interesting. I'll have to try it. Does cod liver taste like? What does it taste like? It's mild. It's more mild than chicken liver. It's good. Just try it. It's good for you. Almonds are high in oxalates. Yes, they are. Cod liver and pork rinds. Yeah, I'll drain the oil out of this, and then I'll make pork rind nachos. That's another great fast food. And I do use a microwave. Some of you guys give me heat for that, but put a bowl of pork rinds, and then sprinkle it with cheese, and like maybe put some cream cheese if you want to. Then heat it in the microwave for a minute, and then when it comes out, add your cod livers. It's delicious. Sardines and water. I should find that. My home seems very peaceful because all my children are next door. It is, though. The dog's sleeping on the couch. All right. I am super glad. Did you guys did hear the dog? Yeah, she's like chasing rabbits in her sleep. But I'm super glad I got to see you. I will be back next week at the same time, and I want to see all of the progress that you guys have made. I will see you back later. Thanks for joining me. And make sure you sign up down below if you haven't yet for the 28-day challenge.